Hey, everybody. Welcome to Happiness Matters, the show where our guests share their stories and insights to inspire you, encourage you, motivate you, and so much more. I'm your host, Beanie Man, and my super wonderful co-host, Mo the Service Dog, who was actually allowed in the office today for a change because he's really well behaved today. And we're brought to you by Mupo TV. Make sure you stay tuned for our newest show every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And you can also catch the replays there on Mupo TV, as well as many other awesome shows on mupotv.com. That is www.mupotv.com. So today, it is my great honor and privilege to introduce to you a friend of mine that I met you, what, a couple years ago, year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. So my friend Garrett Goggans, did I do that right?
Goggans, yeah.
Goggans. Oh man, and I was so close. And I asked you before the show too. Anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, first, thank you for having me. And don't sweat the last name. I say it every now and again.
Oh, good.
So I am what I refer to as a mindset engineer, and what a lot of people call mindset coaches. And I do it more in the business realm. So when I say I'm a business mindset coach, a lot of people are like, oh, you're just a business coach. You teach us how to do processes and whatever to get our business going. And that's not what I do. The business process aspect in my mind is like Novocaine, right? If you're doing the process, just give it time, it's going to work. But what happens when it doesn't work? Well, it's not the process that's failing. It's you. It's the internal person of who you are that's failing.
Because what?
I know, right? Legally, we're taught that our businesses are a separate entity, but in actuality, it's just an extension of who we are. So if we're not growing, if we're stuck as an individual, our business is going to be stuck as well. So I help people break out of that mold and really understand that by doing the internal work, by growing as an individual and defining who it is that person should be to make your business successful, and then becoming that person, your business success is just going to fall right with it. So that's what I do.
Nice. So you're a doctor of the mind then, because you are actually Dr. Garrett?
Nope. I have a doctorate in computer science.
You're my people.
Yeah, it's really interesting how I went through this journey because why do I even know what's going on here? Because I have these businesses that weren't doing anything. They weren't going anywhere. I just failed so many times. And I was introduced to this personal development journey, and I don't call it personal development anymore. I call it personal discovery, because this is what we're doing. We're trying to define. We want this business to go someplace. I wanted my businesses to go someplace, but I never defined who I had to be to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And so it was really interesting how the computer science field just kicked right into it, because we're computers. Like, if you just look at us like we're programs, right? We have this operating system in our subconscious state, and then what we're feeding it is just like what we do with our mouse or keyboard or whatever, and then our actions and our results are just the effect of what we're putting into our thoughts into our subconscious, and it just expresses out that way. It just related so well with me, and that's where a friend of mine, when I started talking about what I wanted to do, like put the computer science away and tell people what I had learned in my journey and my path, she says, you talk like you just reverse engineer what they want, and says you should call what you do mindset engineering. And it's not that. And I didn't coin it. And it's interesting. You go, well, that's cool. That's an awesome thing. And you go out there and it's out there, but no one knows about this, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a really interesting concept that you say, well, where do I want to go in life? Who do I want to be? Then you reverse engineer that person, figure out what characteristics that you need to embody as that person. What characteristics are you embodying now that are not in alignment with that? And then you start flopping and switching and doing all the reprogramming and doing your, Garrett Goggans 2.0s, 3.0s, and it's just an amazing aspect. And when we can get through that, the results are phenomenal.
I love that. And I love the analogy that we are computers and we have the basic operating system, just like our computer, and then you put other stuff on top of that, the other little programs to function. And, just like with computers, when we're all clogged up with, our limiting beliefs and all the BS that we believe from that we're fed from other people and growing up and everything, it's like those, would be the viruses and the I call them the garbage programs on the computers. Like when you buy a new computer, it has pre-installed software and half of it is garbage. It just clutters up the whole computer and makes it slow and sluggish. And so I love that analogy that we are computers. This is brilliant. You are a genius, my friend. This is great.
And I wish you with me. They're the trailblazers before me. That kind of bring that out. I mean, there's the Joe Dispenzas and Greg Bradens and all those individuals who are really just spearheading this idea. But it just makes so much sense. And if you can think about it in that way, and really just, I was talking to someone the other day that it just clicked for her. She's like, I'm just reprogramming. And when you use those words, I'm coding something in myself of what I want to be, and getting rid of the garbage code, defragmenting the system, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're doing in life. And that's how we're shifting, our belief system to really obtain what it is that we want out of life.
I love that. And I like the fact that you don't call it personal development, you call it personal discovery, which I think is so much more appropriate to use than that personal development.
Yeah, well, because we're already developed.
Well, we'd hope so.
we may not just be developed the way that we want to be, but I think people, they haven't mapped out the journey. They feel like they have an idea, but they haven't discovered the true them. They're walking in life with what they're told, who they told they are. These, half the belief systems that we have, if not 90% of them, they're not ours. We have borrowed those from teachers, parents, grandparents, friends, and we never really looked at ourselves about who is it that I am and who is it that I want to be. And when you go on that journey, there's a huge discovery, and you find all kinds of craziness that's ugly, and then some things that are just beautiful, and it really is a discovery process.
And it's scary. I mean, there's times it's really scary when you just uncover certain things, and then the feelings and the emotions that come. It was for me, and all of a sudden it's like I'm overwhelmed with sadness. And I was like, what the heck is happening? But it's like, I know it's part of the journey, uncovering all those layers of just garbage. I mean, really just garbage. So it's awesome. Hey guys, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Hey, we are back. Thanks for hanging around. I'm here with my friend Garrett, and we're talking about being programmed. How was your programming coming up? If you want to share it, you don't have to, but it would be really awesome.
Yeah, no. So I had all these really interesting beliefs that were backed by religion, and I don't want to say that religion is bad. So let me preemptively, go there. I'm not going to say that religion is bad. It's not. And I still have a very strong faith in Christianity. But there was this, when I was raised, I just didn't feel like I fit into that mold. And and so I ran away from home when I was 16 because I fought against it. I dropped out of high school. I ran away from home. And I really wanted to go and just find my own. So I think I was different from a lot of people
Well, because it
where,
didn't feel right. I get
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I get that. I tried all of that too. It didn't feel right.
And that to me, so I went off and I just did my own discovery and I got those programs, but I was young, right? I was 16 years old. And I tell people a lot of the time that I was so ambitious, but my maturity level did not match my ambition level, right? And so I did things that were so counterproductive. And that programming in that aspect, my limiting beliefs were more because of I the things that I did, alcoholism, drugs, this and that had the stigma behind it. I started having this guilt feeling about all the stuff that I had did. And even the fact that I ran away from home put on this big guilt for me. And so my whole life from 16 on was programmed around guilt. And I was never worthy of anything in life. And so it's completely different from what most religion is going to teach you. Is they're going to teach you that you have this abundant life with whatever, right? And that could be anything, and it's not just Christianity. But so I had this really interesting programming of just this guilt aspect, and I had to go through a very spiritual, not religion, but a very spiritual journey to release that guilt and really to discover that it was the guilt that I was holding on to, and to be able to release that in a fashion where it was no longer guilt. Guilt is interesting, right? Excuse me, it actually lets you climb up a success ladder. It allows you to go to a certain extent. And then it says, no, it's like, just kidding. And it just rips you right back down because you're not worthy. So why did you let me go so far? And then to tell me that I'm not worthy. It was just a really interesting thing that happened. And when I finally was able to release the guilt, my life just exploded. It just went into directions that I could have never fathomed.
That's amazing. And the thing is with not worthy and not deserving, that's a programming. And that's instilled in us from, I mean, even well-meaning parents and relatives and friends, because, and it's deep. Oh my gosh, it is so deep. And we have this self-sabotaging. It's like all of a sudden we're having this success, but now this old programming is in there. It's like, you're not good enough. You don't deserve. Who do you think you are? So we do things on a subconscious level that totally sabotages it, and we go crashing back down. And it's like, see, told ya, you don't deserve that, meh. But just wrong. We totally deserve everything. We totally are worth it. And it's just that programming. Like you said, it's just, that's tough. That's tough.
But the good news is that, again, just like any computer system, you can reprogram it. You just have to upgrade your system, whatever. Again,
what is it? Control-Alt-Delete?
Control-Alt-Delete. You just restart, reboot, whatever. You can even just go back to factory settings, and it's not as difficult as people want to portray. And we see these memes and all these things about self-development, personal development, but again, they make it seem like it's so daunting, and we have to climb these mountaintops and these huge sets of stairs, and who wants to do that? So people are staying stuck because I'd rather just stay where I'm at instead of having to go through all of that. That looks like way too much work. But it's just a matter of perspective. Shift the way we're looking at things, and it's really not that hard work. And you can shift those belief systems and do that reprogramming almost instantaneously.
Right. And and it's interesting you say that some make it sound like it is this unsurmountable mountain to climb to change just the smallest thing. And I remember when I was looking to find me a mindset coach, life coach, whatever coach you want to call them, I looked at their programs. First of all, the fees are astronomical. I mean, they're not all like that, don't get me wrong, but the ones I was looking at, because you want some with name recognition, because at least you have somewhat of a feeling that, yeah, they're legit, right? And then the more I learned, the more I discovered that a lot of the programs, and I'm probably going to catch a bunch of flack for that, there's a lot of fluff in there to make it look so much bigger and better than the other person's. And to me, all this fluff is not necessary. I'm a bottom line kind of person. It's like, give me the gist of it. And that's how I talk to people. That's how I teach people. And you're right. And it seems so huge to tackle that, oh, it's too much. I'm just shutting down. I got other things to do. Right. And it really is not. It's the power is now, right now, this very moment, we have the power to have anything.
Yeah. It really is just a matter of opening up your awareness, because we're not taught this aspect of life, right? We're not taught. Right. And I, go into the whole thought process is to me, that it just clicked when I know if I'm focusing on with my conscious mind, we can go through all that. In my conscious mind, I'm focusing on this negative, right? And that gets impressed into your subconscious state, and that generates the feelings and emotions that coincide with that conscious thought. Well, if you have negativity, what's the feelings and emotions? They're negative feelings, depression, anxiety, all these things that are really holding us down. But then those feelings and emotions generate whatever actions we're going to do. Well, if you're depressed, what are you going to do? You're going to sit on the couch and just binge watch Netflix, have some ice cream, and you're not going to do anything that's productive. And so understanding how you shift your thoughts and just put it in a different way of thinking, then it impresses in your subconscious, generating excitement, those feelings are going to make you get off the couch and go do something. To me, it was just that simple. It was like, okay, well, let me stop focusing on this current place that I'm at and really where it is that I want to go. And that opened up the whole realm of, wow, I can do anything I really want if I can just think about it. And I love, Bob Proctor just passed, but he just always said that if you can see it here, you can hold it here. And it's so true.
It is.
You just apply that. Just apply that simple principle of that thought process, and that is a game changer. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there that you can really, policy principles that you can apply. But that one thing, it's a huge game changer.
Right. See, and I always tell people, it's like, hey, what do you think about your bring about? It's really that simple. It really is that simple. If you have positive thoughts, well, you get more positive. If you have negative, if you're stuck in that negative downward spiral, you get more of that. It's like, and I said it before, misery loves company. We've all heard that. We have all heard that. Misery loves company. It's such a low vibration. But guess what? Happiness does too. Happiness loves company just as much. And it's a much higher vibration. You attract much better things. And I'd rather be up here than way down here. The principle is the same. It doesn't change.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. The principle is exactly the same. It's like, and the other thing too, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Good stuff in, good stuff out. It's that simple.
And it's just we talk the talk. We don't understand what we're saying. Right? We can talk about vibrations. I tell with my kids all the time, let's talk about vibrations. You understand when my kids will come and say, like, I just wasn't vibing with that guy. Mm-hmm. Like, you get what you're saying, right? Like, right. We're talking the same language, but you don't have the awareness to really connect those dots. And misery loves company. We're talking the same language. We just have to have that awareness to connect the dots of, why does misery love company?
Right.
Why does happiness love that company? It's the vibration. So when you're vibing with somebody, whether you're in a negative vibration or a higher vibration, you're vibing with that person. You feel comfortable with that because you're on that same wavelength. Mm-hmm. And so that's why when people are in this negative state and they go to a positive, they're a little bit uncomfortable at first because they're like,
it's unfamiliar.
It's unfamiliar. Yeah.
Right. I love that. And the other thing too is like the saying, your vibe attracts your tribe.
We're speaking the same language. We just need to connect those dots. And once you do, it's over, right? The
more you know. Hey guys, we're going to take another quick little commercial break. We'll be right back. welcome back. Thanks for hanging around. I'm your host, Beanie Man and Motor Service Dog, and our awesome guest, Dr. Garrett. I like saying that. It's like Dr. Garrett. It's like, who? Oh. Anyway, we were talking about the mind shift, because it makes all the difference, doesn't it? It's like, I know when I met you, you were not where you are today.
Mm-mm.
You were not where you are today. And that was just like, what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah. Well, not even that. It would have been a year in December of 2021, I believe. That would have been when we first met in person. But then there was a couple of months that we had been in the same groups and conversations. But yeah, so I guess by a year and a half.
Yeah, but and just to watch you, that whole transformation, it just makes my heart sing. I think it's awesome.
It's I was talking about this today too, because the transformation is a lot of people don't know things about me because they see me now in this situation where I have this confidence level now, right? That's of the work that you and we've gone through in our journeys. But even before I met you, I had severe social anxiety. Like having this conversation with you would never happen, because it's me being in front of a camera and I'm talking to someone and it's way outside of my comfort zone.
And it's going worldwide.
And Lord knows who's going to, and that would have just caused me to pass out. I could not go in crowds. I had my dance space was a lot bigger than most others' dance space. So when you got into my personal space, I would pass out. I would get so anxious that I have literally passed out in public because of a crowd. Talking on stages, talking on the phone, I just could not do it. It was something that was so difficult for me. But I knew I had to change this, because there were, again, in my businesses and the things places that I wanted to go in life, I couldn't be that person. I had to change that narrative. Right. And so now here I am. I run a podcast. I speak on stages. I'm giving a presentation on Wednesday in front of, Lord knows how many people. And people, I tell that story, and that can't be you. That could not have been you, because I'm not the same person. But I chose to be this new person. And I think we don't understand that we can do that. Who is it you want to be? You could be whomever you say you are, that's who you're going to be. So who do you choose to be? And I chose to be this individual.
And I'm so glad. Yeah. I mean, just to watch you, like I said, it's been a short time, and to really see you blossom. And you also have a podcast, which I was a guest on.
You were. You rung in the new year of 2021.
Yeah, I think I was one of your first guests too, wasn't I?
Yes, you were one of the first few of season 1. Yeah, for sure. I'm almost in season 3 now. So
nice. Yeah. Hey, you're in my season 1 here on Mupo TV.
This what goes around comes around. Yay!
I know, right? It's like, yay! Squeak. So tell us a little about your podcast.
So the podcast.
I love the title. The title is just awesome.
Moving Upstream Without a Paddle is the title of the podcast, and it actually came off of I wrote a book again in my journey, and a lot of people relate to this if they're in their personal discovery journey. A lot of times you kind of feel alone, like you start talking to people and you're developing this new awareness. You have this new lingo now that we're talking about, paradigms and how I'm shifting this and that. And people were looking at me like, you're crazy. Like, what are you smoking? And I don't know that I want that kind of whatever you're smoking, because you just sound crazy.
So good.
It is. It's so good. So I was that type of person, though, that I either had to talk about it or I had to write it down to really kind of gather my thoughts and really kind of depict what is it I'm pulling out of all the books and master classes and all the things that I was reading. So I wrote this book that at the time, I just these 3 principles that I felt were very just the foundation of everything that we talk about. Thinking, the actions and decisions, and then your attitude. I think those are just 3 foundational pieces that if we can work within that, we can make some massive changes in our lives. And I wrote the book and I titled it Moving Upstream Without a Paddle, because in my first part of that journey, right, I felt like I was going against the flow. Like I was 2 steps forward, 12 steps back. And so if we're going upstream, we don't have a paddle. That's what's happening, is we just keep going back downstream. But when we can shift our mindset, when we can start applying these mindset principles, we literally attach a motorboat to ourselves, right? We don't need a paddle anymore. We can go upstream, side stream, whatever stream we want to go to, we can do that. And so it really is just changing the perspective. And I had a really good friend of mine say, you need to start a podcast. This is something that really needs to get out there. And I was still in my journey, right? I'm like, I do not have the confidence to start a podcast. But I don't want to say he was relentless, but he was pretty relentless in the fact that I should do that. And I finally just said, fine, I'll do it. And I didn't like it at first. It was just me talking and I was really uncomfortable. But then I found a guest. My first guest came on and it started making all the things that I had in the book and all the other stuff that my own research just started bringing everything, making it quantifiable. Nice. And it was uplifting me and people were watching it. And it's like, oh, I love that conversation you just had. And my friend saw it and told someone else to watch it. And then it just started to skyrocket. And the guests that I've had on there, yourself included, the conversations that we have, now I do it for I say I joke, but I really don't. It's very selfish reasons. Like when I can have these conversations with people as powerful as you and as powerful as all these authors and other life coaches, and I've had former Playboy centerfold on there who her story was amazing. I have people who are knocking on death's door, literally about to die, and their perspective that they can say, I choose. And this will tie right in, right? The guy told me, I choose to be happy. I'm about to die, but I choose to be happy.
Oh, I have chills. That's powerful.
How can you not love that? And so that now I'm in, I think, 14 different countries, probably about 40 of the states. Now it's so addicted for me to I have a guest. Can't wait to have this show. And I do it every Tuesday. I record it live, and it's just been a game changer for me.
That's awesome. I agree with you. I love having guests on you like you and so many others, because I learn so much. I mean, it's just like, or even things that I already thought I knew and I know, but I get a different perspective on that. And it's a total game changer. And I'm sitting here going like, whoa, this is so cool. And I'm so glad that we have a platform we can share it with, to reach more people. And my thing is, I'm always looking, because I did a podcast called Beanie Bits for a minute, and it's so hard when it's just you to have content. I mean, I can give you Beanie Bits, and even 5 minutes on my own is a stretch. But when you have a conversation with somebody, it just, I don't know, it brings out so much more. And time just flies. It's just fun. It's just fun. And my thing always has been is like, how can I reach more people faster? Because people need to hear the message. People need to hear that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And no, it is not a freight train. Okay. They need to know you have the power. You can change your whole life in this very moment. All it takes is a decision. Is it scary? You betcha. You betcha. But you do it scared. You do it anyway. And the only reason it's scared, unless of course, your life is in danger, that's a different kind of scared. Okay. But if you're scared because it's something new, the reason it's because it's unfamiliar. And I've used that analogy before. So you guys watching the show, you've heard this. It's like, remember the first time you wanted to drive a car, you were so excited. If finally you're old enough, you get to sit behind the car, you were so excited. You were like, you couldn't wait. The day is here. You sit behind the wheel and then you freeze in fear. Because now all of a sudden, you're still super excited that you finally get to drive, but now all of a sudden you have to pay attention to 5 million different things, right? That was scary. I know it was for me. And so for everybody I talked to, they're like, oh my God, yes. But we forget about that because Now we get in the car and we don't even think about it. But in that very first moment, when I bring people back to that moment, every single one agrees. They were super excited and scared out of their wits at the same time. And now they don't even think about it. It's the same thing with making a decision to move your life in a better direction. It's that simple.
It's that simple.
You can do it.
It's a great analogy. My middle child is learning to drive now. So he just went on the interstate.
I noticed a few more gray hairs, so that would explain it.
Yeah. He went on the interstate for the first time 2 days ago, and he's white knuckled gripping the thing. I'm like, just calm down, man. It's fine. It's not, you can play video games and do whatever, and you have all this awareness. But he's like, Dad, this is a car. I could kill us. Like, yeah, you could. I mean,
there's that.
There's that, but enjoy what you're doing, right? This is you're going to the next level of your life, and just enjoy it. Stop and say, this is cool, right? I'm in a car. I'm doing something that, yes, it's a little scary, but how awesome is it that I'm on the interstate now, and I never thought I would be here. At 16, I'm scared to death, but wow. And then his younger brother is like, oh, I wish I could drive the interstate. And he was like, just wait. Just wait. But he's shifting that into like, yes, let's just have a good time. Face that fear. And I tell them, fear for us is in this aspect is like, it's like a road sign, right? It's saying, if you're hitting the fear, you're going the right direction. It's saying, yep, success is this way. And that because you're seeing that fear as a road sign that you're going the right direction. That's how I did it. And that's how I go through it, is every time I get that fear, I say, it's the fear is backed by excitement. I'm doing the right thing. I'm going where I need to be going because this is the growth that I need to have.
I love that. And for me, fear means false evidence appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that. And do it scared if you have to. Ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. I know it's tough for most people to ask for help. I'm one of them. I'm the first one to admit it. But ask for help. You'd be amazed how many people are out there willing to help. It's like, hey, what can I do? How can I help you? Have you looked at it this way? Have you tried this? It doesn't take much. I love that. This is so awesome.
And the other cool thing too is that when you go past that fear, those people that will help you, they appear. They just appear. Like half the people I met in my journey, it's because I kept taking continuous steps in that journey. And whenever I got to a point where I needed the help, that person, they showed up. And it could have just been for that fleeting time. A lot of them I've built some serious relationships with, like we are accountability partners now, but they show up, and you just, like you said, just ask the help and they'll give it to you. It's an amazing thing that happens. And it's almost like, well, not even, it is magical in all sense of the word, right? You're like, how did that even happen? And you look back now and
I could tell you how that happened, but we don't have enough time.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It is true.
No, and the thing is, we've all heard it, ask and you shall receive.
Mm-hmm.
It is true. It is so true. It's like whatever you ask for, you will get. You may not get it exactly how you want it and when you want it. It doesn't come wrapped with a nice little bow in your face, here I am, or here it is. Sometimes it comes hidden. It's like that Easter egg hunt. And for me, sometimes I trip over it. Literally trip over it. And I was like, oh, there it is. And it's been there the whole time. But if you ask none, you get none. And nobody says you have to struggle. And it's like, I don't really like that saying, whatchamacallit, to get what you want, you have to struggle, or whatever that saying is. Yeah. Or anything worthwhile is a struggle or whatever. No, it's not. It's a struggle because you make it a struggle. You believe it's going to be a struggle. And then, of course, it's going to be a struggle. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
That to me, that statement is so foreign, because it was not did I have challenges in life? Sure. Even going through the journey.
Who doesn't?
But I didn't struggle through it. I knew where I was going, and it was the growth that I had and the places that I've gone to, from like, from before you met me to even now. It I made the mistake. There's the statement that universe loves speed, and I said, bring it to me, right?
Oh, and all you can do is you put it out there, universe loves speed, and I tell people buckle up.
Exactly. And whoa, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I see, and we were talking about mountains and stairs. I give this example, well, analogy really, that I don't look at it like that. I look at it as a roller coaster. When you go and you make the decision, it's, you actually get pulled up, right? So the initial part of a roller coaster, you're getting pulled up the hill, this incline. And then you come over the top, and then it just inertia at that point. So that the journey is not strenuous. It's not a struggle. It's just going, and you're just going through it. You're like, okay, this is a challenge. Okay, well, I overcame this. I overcame this. I overcame this. And then you come over that hill, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, because that's that speed, right? And it's just like, oh, what is going on? This is crazy. This is crazy. And then you hit the bottom of that first hill, and that's just so you can take a breath, because everything that just happened that past month was so ridiculously crazy.
Right.
So you need that breath, and then there you go again. That inertia is carrying you back up the hill. It's not a struggle. It's a blast.
It is.
If you
let it. I always say, it's like whenever I ask for the universe for whatever I want, and it's like, I always laugh. It's like, usually the universe is like, oh, this is what you want. Okay, here you go. Have it all. Have it now. And oh, wait, there's more. There's always more. And we always get better than we can even imagine. So it's like, wow. So guys, while we're going on the commercial break, you think about, what is it that you really want? Put your wish list together. Be surprised. Hey, we'll be right back. Hey, thanks for hanging around. I hope you thought a little bit about what it is that you really want, and write it down in how the whole feeling, use all your 5 senses when you write it down, and then just put it away and dream about it, visualize it. It's fun. Anyway, so I'm back, Beanie Man, your host, and Mo just walked in, but I have the green screen behind me, so he's blocked. And with my friend Garrett. And so Garrett, I mean, the show is called Happiness Matters. You clearly are happy because you exude. I love your energy. I love your vibe. You're my people. You're totally my people. So how do you define happiness? And what do you do to raise your happy vibration? Or what adds to your happy?
So, well, and like we said it earlier, and I knew this before I had this guest on my show, but to me, happiness, it's a choice. It's something that we choose every single day to have, to behold, to walk in. And so I define that by waking up every day and just being grateful for, more often than not, like the top of my list is always going to be my children and my grandson. That's just, I just wake up and I'm just so thankful that I have them in my life. And really, they were a huge part of my journey. Like, just go, Dad, you can do this. You're seeing so much stuff that became a different father. My son would tell me things and talk about the energy that he would feel when they would come. You know, I'm divorced from, and so when they would come to my house for their time with me, I would love him. He would always walk in and say, the energy here is so different. You can feel it, the calmness and the peace.
Nice.
And but I chose that, right? I defined what was it that was going to make me happy, and it was this serene state, and it was spending this time with my kids and my family, and that was more meaningful. Like I really started looking for what the meaning was, and that made me happy. That may not be, if you may not have a family, you may be a single person, but you have to define what that is and choose to be that every single day. And I think that covers both of your questions. Is I choose it, I define it, and I choose it, and really it is spending time with them. Just because of this awareness I have, I know that those relationships can be so much deeper, and the things that they have accomplished. I mean, I have a 28-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old, and the things that they have accomplished will blow your mind because they watched me go through it and they're applying these principles, and it's so amazing.
Isn't that beautiful when you can watch them? And even though they act like, yeah, whatever, it's just mom talking her stuff, or dad talking his stuff, wah, 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 wah. But then they go out and they do, and it's like, they were paying attention. Doesn't that feel good?
And I'll never forget when my youngest he plays football, and you were talking about visualizations, and I was saying, do the visualizations, do this. And there's a whole story behind that. But he got in the car one day after a game, and he's like, Dad, this crap works. I'm like, I know it works. I know it does. And that's just that affirmation that, it's just an amazing thing to watch for sure.
It is. And I laugh with my husband. I love him to pieces. And he acts all like he doesn't believe in any of what I do, which is fine, but then he goes like, oh, honey, do your thing.
That thing you do.
It's like, just do your thing. I'm like, okay. And then I laughed. It's like the other day, he had to do something for work, and he really needed a couple days to get the stuff together. He's like, man, it would be nice to have like a day or two. Well, guess what? We had snow days. Guess who got his stuff done? So right? And he looks at me, he goes like, oh, and those snow days, they were just perfect, da, 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 right? And I laugh, and I looked at him, I said, babe, you manifested that. He's like, yeah, right. Like, you believe that, you just do your thing. I'm like, honey, I did nothing. I had nothing to do with it because I don't care if it snows or not. I said, you did that.
My kids thank him for manifesting the snow because they did have some days off of school and they were very appreciative. So
I will, but I just laugh because he's like, okay, whatever. But then, he's an Army guy. He was in the military for over 30 years, so that whole thinking that you and I have is completely different from what he was brought up and what he experienced in the military. So I totally get it. But I just chuckle, it's like, you are paying attention.
Do your thing, Beanie. Do your thing.
Just do your thing. I just love it when he says it. He has a twinkle in his eyes. Just do your thing, babe. Do your thing. I'm like, okay, I'll do my thing. So your kids give you joy, which I understand. My kids give me joy. Do you have any hobbies that add to your happy? And no work and doing what you do to help people does not count.
It does not.
I know.
Well, so my family has a big background in music, and so a lot of the time that we do, especially with my kids, is so I play guitar here, and like I said, I'm a hobbyist. I'm not anything great, but I love it. And I love it when I can sit down. My middle child, he started playing guitar and he surpassed me as experience. So I just play rhythm guitar, he'll play lead. And now my youngest is wanting to play bass because there's something that we connect with. And so we'll spend time just sitting and listening to music and, Dad, did you hear this song? Or how about this? And all these different genres that now my kids are bringing into that. That's always fun for me. That elevates my energy into places that are just undescribable because I think it just stems from my dad too, because he had his master's in music, he taught music, he played for the Atlanta Pops. And so it was that connection. The Atlanta Pops, it's their symphony. but it was a connection I had with him. So I love this connection that I have with them as well in this music aspect. So there's that. And then I live in Colorado, so I love if you live in Colorado, you have to go outside because it's just gorgeous here. We have our backyard is a bunch of 14ers. We're camping.
True story.
We love to get out and go just connect with nature. And that's always a good thing for me as well.
I love that. And I had a really good thought and it went out the window. Hating when that happens. What was it? Oh, music. So fun fact, Mupo Entertainment also has a record label.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Fun facts. But no, but I love the music because music has always been a part for us as well. I mean, I dabbled in playing this instrument and that instrument, but nothing really to write home about because it involved reading music and that's just not happening. So but my kids also have that love of music. So we, when they were little, and Tim and I talked about it because Tim was my guest in my first episode. And we talked about where his love for music came from. And it's because, I mean, he was exposed to it from between my husband and I, plus we were playing those kid songs in the car and we were bellowing along every single time, which is fun. And I still do this. I still crank up my radio and I wouldn't call it singing. I bellow along. And it's just fun. It's just fun. We're here on Earth in this experience to have fun, to grow, to learn, and have fun. When things get uncomfortable, I have a new thing that I do. And my friend Linda, every time I come to her with something and I say, hey, Linda, check this out. You got to try this. And she was like, oh, help me. Because I go, ooh, growth opportunity. When I come growth opportunity, she just shakes her head and she was like, why does that scare me? I said, oh, because, we both can learn something. And my kids too, they're like, oh, Mom, really? I said, hey. And then afterwards, they're like, you know what? That wasn't really bad. And this is really cool. Now we have a new tool. Growth opportunities, they're everywhere. So to me, there really are no challenges. There are no failures, none of that. To me, they're all growth opportunities.
That's a great way to look at it. There are no failures. That's why the challenges aren't a struggle, because I'm growing. Right? It's just
growth opportunity.
Changing that perspective just changes everything. And so yeah, that's a great way. I love the growth opportunity. If you came to me, I wouldn't be scared. I'd be, let's do it, Beanie. Let's go.
I know, right? Say, hey, together we can do it. What do we want to do? I mean, and really, here's the thing. There are no limits in what you can do, what you can have, what you can be. Because everything we want already exists. We just have to match our vibration to the vibration of whatever it is that we want. And I mean, we have to put some elbow grease in it.
Yeah.
Okay. But it doesn't have to be a struggle.
No.
And for me, I always know when I'm on the right track, when things fall into place.
Yeah.
When I hit one roadblock after the other, I was like, okay, maybe I need to step back and rethink this whole thing. Maybe there's a message here, that there's a lesson here, growth opportunity, that I'm not seeing. Right. What is this? And sometimes it's simple. It's as simple as, what? Why am I trying to force this over here? Because I put it in my head, my ego is telling me this is how it has to be, and this is where you have to go, to where over here is the cake.
Yeah.
I'm collecting the crumbs over here and the cake is over here. It's like, okay, bye, I'm going over here. But we have to do that. And it's like, do that self-evaluation. If you're hitting one roadblock after the other, ask yourself, what's the lesson here? What am I supposed to learn? And I guarantee you ask the question and you listen, you will get the answer. Yeah. You will get the answer.
You have to listen. I love that. I think people get too attached to the path, right? This is the path that I feel like I need to be on. And we have that saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's kind of about the destination, but don't be attached to the path, because if you don't, you need to know where you're going. and where that cake is. Like, I
Right.
know I want the cake. That's my destination.
Heck
But
yeah, cake is great.
we're attached to the path that's taking us to pie or the crumbs, right? So shift the path is the path that, all those shifts and pivots and going on this path and exploring this avenue and going into that avenue is going to get us to the cake that makes it the magnificent journey. So I think that's it. We just don't attach yourself to the path. And
right. And I tell people, it's like, figure out what it is you want. Okay, guys, figure out what it is you want. Visualize it. Visualize as you have it already. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. My favorite quote of all times. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Okay. Visualize you have it. But detach yourself from the who's, the hows, the what's, and all of that junk. That's not your job. Mm-hmm. That is not your job to worry about that. You focus, keep the eye on the prize. And be open to all the things that are coming to you, because opportunity is knocking left and right, and some are better than others, but you don't have to worry about the who's, the hows, the what's, the whens. It's like TV show. If you would have told me 10 years ago I would have my own TV show, I would have had you commit it. I mean, for real. Mm-hmm. But as I was changing, things were changing. And when I started my first show on YouTube, one of the hashtags I used is Ellen has to retire eventually. It was a joke. And here we are. But I wasn't worried about the who's, the hows, the what's, the whens. It's just like, I knew this is what I wanted. And I didn't even consciously knew that was what I wanted until not long ago. Right?
Isn't it so more exciting though, just to let it unfold?
Yeah, and we always get better and more than what we could even imagine. No. It's like we might think we want this, but if you're not attached to exactly that, see, I put out, I want this or more or better by this time or sooner. Right. And it's always delivered. It's so cool. It is so cool.
I wish people could just experience that excitement, because it's so cool. And you go, like, I don't think I've ever said, wow, so many times in my life, right? From these past 2 years, it's just been, wow.
I know, it's wow, the whole thing. Guys, here's a little challenge. It's not, I don't like the word challenge, but try this. Just visualize what you want, write it down and see what happens. Be open. But anyway, unfortunately, this is the end of our show already. I could talk with you for hours. So if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way is probably through my website. It's just www.garrettgoggans.com, Goggans. And then in all the social media. So I'm all out there. So that's the best way, just through the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh,
I just love chatting with you.
Yeah, it has been too long. So I'm very appreciative that you had me on, because I love you to death, and you know that. So
oh, I love you too. You're awesome. Hey guys, I'm going to take another quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the tip of the week. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back for the tip of the week, and thanks for hanging around. Today's quote comes from Albert Einstein. He's one of my favorite. And he said, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Think about that. Because we know everything is energy. It just all vibrates at a different frequency, at a different speed. And at the core, we really are all the same. We are the same. You and I are the same. Me and the table is the same. Me and the chair is the same. Me and the air is the same. At the core, we're all the same. It's just a different frequency and speed that it's vibrating on. And when you want to listen to your favorite radio station, what do? You have to tune in to just that frequency, right? So you can listen to the song, the music, the podcast, whatever it is you want to listen to on that frequency, on that radio station. If you miss it by 0.1, Well, if you're lucky, you only get static. It's still kind of there, but not really, or it's not even there at all. But you have to match the frequency exactly to get exactly what it is that you want. And it's no different with everything else that we desire and that we want that's out there. Because everything we want already exists. And I know we talked about that in an earlier show. Everything we want already exists. The trick is for us to match our frequency to the frequency of that which we want. And, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. One of my favorite quotes by Neville. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's like, and that's helping you tune into the frequency of that what you want. If you believe it's like, oh, I want to be rich, but it will never happen. Well, you focus on the it will never happen. So of course it will never happen, right? But if you focus on it, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I can be rich. Of course you can. Why couldn't you? Believe that. Believe that you will be, or whatever it is that you want, or that dream partner of yours. And there's actually a fun little exercise you can do. Write down for your dream partner, if you don't have your dream partner yet, write down exactly all the qualities you want. Write down everything. And yes, if you want to have good sex, you need to write that in there as well. Otherwise, you're going to get a cuddle partner. But write down everything you want in that person, and then assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Don't pick like a certain person's like, oh, it has to be Susie from 3 Doors Down or so. That's not how that works. Okay. You just put that out, the person that you want, and then watch the magic unfold. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Thanks, guys, for hanging around for another week. And then we'll see you next week. And also, please submit your story. If you have not done so yet, please submit your story to story@mattersofperspective.com and go to our website, mattersofperspective.com, to find the story guidelines, And if you have not yet checked out all the other shows on Mupo TV, I highly recommend you take a perusing around on mupotv.com. That's www.mupotv.com. And we'll see you next week. Have a great one. Remember, be happy, be kind, be love. Bye.